Hi guys, so I have a very interesting interview one-on-one with Breavis, and he was also known as Salasio, as he told me. And then let me see here. Okay, so this is he has personally met Brian Smith and also GD Mead, and he I kind of let him talk, share his thought, his opinion on this whole thing, the whole drama. So just bear with me, and then if I would suggest though that you watch the full interview. Don't just maybe some people will do like just watch like a 10-20 minutes of the video and then commenting. Don't waste your time. Don't do that because it will be deleted and you look like an idiot. So because you will say something and you did not hear the whole thing. So just save yourself the embarrassment. If either you can watch the full video or don't watch at all. And then the other things is what I really like about this one-on-one chat is if I have share it with my guests, I will always be respectful, even though we don't agree on everything. We can still have a conversation. And then if sometime I have to edit, sometime I don't have to edit. Like this one, Brevis has contacted me, said, hey, you know what, can we do you do edit, maybe we can just cut some part. And of course I agree. And anything that something that you have said that you think that you have like a change of heart, or you're not so sure, we can always edit out. This is good about this private one-on-one. We can always edit out, and it's always I always like to protect my guests. And then what else? And at the same time, whatever, sometimes we will discuss something, and then the guest will tell me that, oh, by the way, this is like off the record, and it's okay, good. If you want to off the record, I will honor that, off the record, even though later on, in case we have a fallout, I will still not share whatever we have, discussed as considered to be off record. I keep my word. Brevis have told me that he is a supporter of Jeffrey Mead, and then I have previously interviewed Stacy. Stacy, of course, we all know Stacy is a supporter of Brian Smith, so I think it's only fair. And then what I like to do is maybe this weekend, let's say Saturday USA time, I would like to do a live stream and then invite a couple of people, some from Brian Smith side, and then some from Jeff Mead side, and then we can have a very healthy discussion. No personal attack. Anyway, if you are interested, please comment below and let me know, and I will check you out, and then I will send the invite for you to join us. A lot of people will start with say, oh, I like this this interview, this conversation, but it's always a but, and they will insert the poison pills. Don't waste your time, because you will be deleted and you will be blocked. All right. And then what else? I think that's it. Okay, we all set. You are, you are. I was thinking when you reach out to me, I was thinking an older person. I was like surprised. You're young. Anyway, so you have mentioned that you have met GD Mead and also Brian Smith. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, my girlfriend's from Bohol, and I've been
Right.
following GD Mead, Brian Smith drama for a long time. I think I
Mm-hmm.
kind of got into it randomly. When Boss Hogg
Right.
was he had his shrimp pond, and
Okay.
I was watching his shrimp pond harvest with
Right.
my ex-girlfriend back in California, and it took us about 2 minutes of watching him to realize this guy is a fool. He's a con man. He's a scammer. He's
Mm-hmm.
not a farmer, certainly not farming for profit.
Mm-hmm.
And just started watching his channel because it was just so ridiculous. Here's this guy just e-begging and pretending to be a farmer and failing at everything, whether it's chickens, shrimp, fish, goats,
Okay.
corn, rice, vegetables. In life, I mean, everything he's essentially failed at. And there was almost a bit of Schadenfreude to watch his channel, and
Mm-hmm.
it was such a guilty pleasure just watching his channel. How honestly, like he's a rare combination of a human being of being that stupid, that lazy, that arrogant. Yet he's got a YouTube channel, but
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of the rule of 10,000. If you
Right.
find one of 10,000 people that are stupider than you, well, you can
Mm-hmm.
milk them. So that's what con men do. And YouTube gives him a worldwide platform in front of millions and billions of people. And if he gets, he says he's got what 30,000 subscribers. I'm not sure if those were bought or not, or
Okay.
we'll see if they weren't. But all it takes is 3, 4, 5 people to fall for his lies. Out of
Right.
30,000 people, Boss Hogg's got to be smarter than 3 or 4 of them. So those people, those lonely truck drivers in America, all out on the road, putting in those long hours all by themselves.
Uh-huh.
And Boss Hogg's selling a dream. He's not a farmer. Let's just clear that up. And he's not
Right.
farming for
Right.
profit.
Right.
He's selling a fantasy to lonely guys. Most of them have never been to the Philippines. Most of
Mm-hmm.
them are truck drivers. Some of them have been to the Philippines once or twice, and they're
Mm-hmm.
probably all adding to a Filipina, probably sending that Filipina money. They're on the road all alone, thinking, listening to podcasts, listening to YouTube videos. And
Uh-huh.
Brian Smith, Boss Hogg, he's kind of got that slow, easy, Midwestern American accent that kind of, lulls you into a false sense of confidence, which is a common trait amongst all con men. They've got just a soothing voice, and Boss Hogg really does. I mean, if he wanted to go back to America, do voiceover work for commercials,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
he's got one of those classic Midwestern American accents that are, talked a little slow. He's, oh shucks. You can tell he's not that smart. He's kind of just a big fat lazy stupid guy. Um, but these guys that are watching him, they see him farming and living the dream, so to speak. I mean, I don't know how much of a dream it is with, living in
Mm-hmm.
an unfit hut out in the mountains and living day to day with no money, not having your house painted and dirt
Mm-hmm.
floors. But they see that and they're driving their trucks across, doing the Kentucky to Kansas route, for two
Right.
days, sleeping at truck stops, showering at truck stops, all alone, maybe
Mm-hmm.
chatting with a Filipina. And everybody's thinking, well, I don't want to be driving this truck. And in 3 years, I'm going to save up my money and I'm going to go buy a farm in the Philippines and I'm going to raise pigs and I'm going to have corn and I'm going to have me a young Filipina and then life's going to be perfect. And if you do any sort of searching like American farmer Philippines, like foreigners
Right.
farming Philippines, Boss Hog ranks pretty high on the algorithm on the search results. So they watch his channel, they see him, and then he plants the seeds of like I really want to get this third tilapia pond going, but we don't have the aerators. And true con men don't come out and do a direct ask for the aerators or ask for things. They put the
Mm-hmm.
seed in the mind of the viewer, and then the viewer thinks they're coming up with the idea themselves to help people. And a lot of people want to help, like GD Mead, Mr. Mead. I honestly believe he's got a good heart and he's a great person, and he fell for a con man. I know you've had your issues with GD Mead
Mm-hmm.
and some of your anti Boss Hog channels had a bit of a falling out with them. I'm still a big Mr. Mead fan. We'll get into that later, but so Boss
Okay.
Hog puts the out there that he wants to do this tilapia pond, but he doesn't have the aerators, and then someone sends the aerators or sends them money to buy the aerators, and
Uh-huh.
then Boss Hog does another video. Well, we really don't have we need a generator to run, or we need solar to run this aerator. And so someone sends him money for solar. And then he'll say, well, it's just so cloudy and rainy here in Behold. What I really need is a generator. Boom. Next thing you know, a generator shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, this generator's nice, but it's just kind of expensive, and we just don't have the gas budget to run this generator. Boom. Someone starts sending them money for gasoline.
Right.
And then it's not about raising tilapia for profit, because the man's not going to make a profit. He's never made a profit.
Right.
It's
Right.
more about planting the seed to uh, scam money from his donors and
Mm-hmm.
subscribers. Is for as fat, lazy, and stupid as Boss Hogg is, don't underestimate him. Do not underestimate the man. He is a highly skilled con man, a true grifter. He's gone through life manipulating the system, whether it be food stamps or not paying taxes or having permits for his ice cream truck.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows how to do this. He knows how to separate lonely foreigners who have very little experience in the Philippines, or they're very naive about the laws and cultures and customs of the Philippines. He's very skilled at separating them from their wallet. So just be careful. Don't underestimate Boss Hog.
All right. So I was just listening to you. Just I was just like it just amazed me. Of the knowledge you know about the whole story. And just listen to you saying that you just got in during the shrimp pond. And I was much earlier than you. I was watching, but I was just a silent viewer when I was watching the drama between uh, Jeff Mead and Brian Smith. And almost what you have said, like almost I would say maybe 85% or 90%, I have agree with you. I have this some, I don't agree the whole thing, but I am like I told you, I am willing to debate with people, on both sides, because I don't, it doesn't mean that if I don't agree with you, I'm going to call you out or I'm going to insult you. No, I'm open for conversation. And especially right now, as you know, I already have my piece with Brian Smith. I don't want to do any more anything about, about Brian Smith, but I'm still continue to do my reaction video. And then if somebody, like you, will say, hey, I want to share my experience, I'd be happy, to let people, like give my platform, listen to them, and maybe uh, this is like almost like a good good for my viewer to understand. I have been trying to for so many, I think 2 years already. I've been trying to, before I have been trying to expose Brian Smith. At the same time, my thing is not about exposing him. My thing is warn the donors, warn the viewers. Don't get sucked into these things. Don't get too attached, because, like you were saying, when you get too attached to it, it become like a soap opera. I mean, I don't know. You probably seen people got hooked up to a soap opera and they just got to have it, got to watch it. And if you're in that situation, you need to turn off, you know, whatever your TV, the YouTube, because it's not good. It's I have said it. I don't know if you have watched my video before. I've said it. It's gonna cost you not only financially, but your health also will be affected, and a lot of things. And then, like I was saying, when I was doing that, and then I saw a GoFundMe for Black, right? And then when I shared that page, when I shared that, it was it's an honest intention. It's not just to draw for view, anything like that. It was just my honest intention. And you know what? When I shared that, my thing is, okay, if I believe that this is what I believe. All right. I know a lot of people will say you being naive. I'm not being naive. I'm too old to be naive. Now, if let's say if Sarah did not uh, give the whole amount donation to Blake, that's her problem. That is their problem, and Marty's knows about that. So that's my take. It's their problem. I just share it. If people want to help, okay, you go ahead and help. If not, then don't say anything. And then it just like a wake up call, and then people start to my so-called supporter start to bash me, and then I was relieved. I was like, oh, because I have said it already. I want out. I have been wanting out. I was talking to exchanging communication with expat forum, and I was telling them that I want to do less of Brian Smith. I'm just getting tired. I'm not a farmer, so for me to watch about farming, so I can do my reaction video, it's kind of it's kind of like a punishment. What was your background? Can you just give me a little bit of your background? What do you do?
I'm retired now, but in California, I was in the cannabis industry for the past 9 years.
Oh, I'm sorry,
And
say that. What you were in what kind of field?
cannabis, marijuana.
Oh, cannabis. Okay. I
Yeah. So
mean, this
I
is
did
just
that
is that just
for,
recently? The cannabis is just recently, because I know it's not been legal for it just might be the last 10 years, right?
well, it went legal in 2016 in California, but before that, it was semi-legal since the mid 1990s. It was more of a patchwork legal system where it depended on your jurisdiction and what city, what county
Oh,
you're in,
okay.
what the judge of that area decided, whether the prosecuting attorneys would go after it, what the police chief would instruct his deputies to do, what
Uh-huh.
city mayors decided to allow and not allow. Um,
Right.
but there were dispensaries, there were open farms paying taxes way back in the 90s, all throughout California. And even pre 2016, there were thousands of dispensaries, delivery services, farms that were inspected by county inspectors and
Mm-hmm.
fire departments. And so it was semi legal. And then in 2016, it became completely legal. But
Completely legal. Okay.
past
So
2010, it was more or less legal since about 2010. But yeah, I mean, back in the 90s, there were dispensaries on main streets across hundreds of California towns, and cultivation sites being inspected by the fire department and getting their
mhm.
clearance certificate. So yeah, it's basically legal now.
Is that your business? Are you the one you planting it, or you just selling it, or what? I mean, can you just elaborate? What do you do with your business?
Well, it wasn't my business. I wasn't the owner. I was just an employee,
Oh,
and
okay.
it was a corporation. We had every license except lab testing. We had cultivation. We had retail,
Uh-huh.
storefront retail, non-retail, non-storefront retail, which is delivery. We had manufacturing. We had oil-based manufacturing and non-oil-based manufacturing, i.e., like cookies and brownies,
Mm-hmm.
and things. We had an event planning license, so we could hold cannabis events like cannabis dinners, smokeouts,
Mm-hmm.
um, reserve space at lounges and bars and restaurants, and have parties there. We had distribution, transportation. So we had every license except lab testing, because if you have a lab testing license, that's a standalone license, because it's sort of like a bottleneck where if
Mm-hmm.
you have a testing license, you're just not allowed to have any other license because it's a conflict of interest.
Okay.
But yeah,
I'm
I
not
started.
so.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm not too familiar with that, but I know the only thing that I know, kind of probably I could be wrong. Probably the only state that I'm aware of was Denver. Was Denver the original state that started with this
So
cannabis?
Denver was the first state where it went on the ballot and became legal.
Uh-huh.
But I want to say 1996, there was something called Prop 215 in California, which established the collective model. And what the
Mm-hmm.
collective model means, is it legalized marijuana for medicinal purposes. And the way it did that was it said, hey, well, marijuana is illegal unless you have a doctor's
Right,
prescription
right.
to use it. And if marijuana is illegal, well, then how do you grow it? How do you sell it? How do you buy it? So the collective model recognized that it takes time, space, money, and expertise for
Mm-hmm.
ingredients. And so a collective group of people could form a collective and grow plants, sell plants, and buy product as a collective group, not a single individual. So the way it would actually work in practice was,
Mm-hmm.
a warehouse or a garage where someone's got growing 100 plants in there. There would literally be barcodes around each plant that say, or a
Mm-hmm.
picture of a driver's license on the wall with their signature on their release paper saying these 6 plants belong to Joe, these 6 plants belong to Jim, these 6 plants belong to Jane. And so everybody would own up to 6 plants. So some people were the growers where they would provide the expertise. Some people would be the trimmers where they would provide the time. Some people would own the property where they would provide the space. And then some people would be the donators, which would provide the money. So time, space, money, expertise. So you really wouldn't sell marijuana. You would people would donate for your marijuana back in the day. So the collective model is what sort of opened the door to legalization. But truth be told, most of the medical prescriptions that were given out were by quack doctors. I mean, legally board certified doctors, but the
Yeah.
reasons were a joke. I remember back in 2012 when I got my medical prescription, I was really nervous. I was like, well, I'm paying this $40 for this prescription. What if the doctor says no? And, he sees through my story. So I had this big thing planned where I was going to talk about how I was having trouble sleeping and then these certain things helped me sleep, but I was afraid to buy it on the street because it's
Yeah.
dangerous. This whole
Right.
story lined up. And I get into the doctor's office, just some old guy with a ponytail. And, he doesn't even look at me. He's just filling out
Just
paperwork and
give
he
it
goes,
to you.
"Oh, why
Yeah.
why do you want to use marijuana?" And I go, well, doctor, I've just been having trouble sleeping. And the reason is sometimes at the middle of the night, and like he cuts me off and goes, oh, sleep, that is good. Here you go. Pay the $40.
That's it.
And I'm
Right.
out the door.
Yeah.
And there's 10
Yeah.
other people in the lobby waiting for
Yeah.
them. And then from there, you just take that piece of paper, you go to any dispensary, and you
Mm-hmm.
could walk right in and buy whatever you want. And then in 2016, it opened up the recreational side. And
Right.
so
Right.
you didn't need to pay $40 to some quack doctor for some bogus reason. You could
Right.
just go into the store as long as you're 18 years old or
Right.
21, depending on the city and
So
all that.
must be very good business, huh? Right?
Yeah, we did extremely well. I mean, like anything, I work in any startup early corporation. If you get in on the ground floor and you put in your hours and rise through the ranks, and then eventually the company goes public and we had a stock option and built value, and everybody who got in the beginning, we did really well.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not buying private jets or Ferraris or anything, but I was able to retire at 40. I am on a budget, but I mean it's a pretty healthy budget, and yeah, I don't really need to work anymore the rest of my life, so I'm happy. It
Wow.
was a
That's amazing. More people will be jealous of you now since you come out. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, most people know. I mean, I'm not like, long story short, like, I mean, I'm basically living on about $3,000 a month here, which puts me in a pretty high percentile of people out here.
Uh-huh.
But I don't have a pension. I don't have a 401. I'm not getting a disability payment or anything. I'm just living off my life savings.
Right.
And, as long as I'm in that $3,000 a month range, I could live out here till I'm.
That's fascinating me because when you say you're living off your savings, that scares me. I never do that. I've always worked. I just that's why I could not retire. I want to retire. I'm going to be retired soon, but it scared me. That's why I kind of glued to the blogger. I listen to like Paul, Mark, because I just want to know about people. Uh, how do you spend your savings? That's kind of frightened me. So I'm glad to talk to you. Talking to you that you have done it. Congratulations. I mean,
Well,
uh,
I mean, it's so. I mean, I don't want to get into my exact net worth, but I
no,
mean,
no,
I'm doing.
yeah.
I don't really have to worry about working ever again. I don't need to, be
Mhm.
pinching. Um, I mean, but hey, I'm still on a budget. Like I have a cheap motorcycle here. I initially came out here looking to buy a condo in the Cebu Ayala Business Park area,
Uh-huh.
and I kind of said, hey, I want to be, let's see what I could find for the 8 to 10 million range. And everything I liked was, in that 15 to 17 million range. And I just felt those were overpriced. I decided to back off. So I'm just renting now. I just signed a year lease. My girl's pregnant. And, we spent the first year traveling around the Philippines. We would usually do a month in Cebu, then go
Hmm.
to Palawan for a month, and then a month in Cebu, then, Manila, Angeles, Baguio for a month, and then back to Cebu for a month, and then go on a motorcycle trip through, Negros
Wow.
and Siquijor and Dumaguete for a month. And so after a year, well, she's 7 months pregnant now. Show
All
you
right.
her real. Say hello.
Hello.
She just got out of the shower. Um, so we're not can't really put her on a motorcycle and just travel around with her when she's 7 months pregnant.
Right, right.
And so signed a 1 year lease here, just a nice little apartment, got
Yeah.
everything I need. Um, and so we're gonna stay here for a year, and then I'm not in the Philippines forever. Like I've told people, I'm not, this isn't a forever thing for me.
No, I
Six,
don't blame
seven.
you. No, I don't blame. Are you thinking of other country, maybe Thailand or something like that?
No, well, specifically no to Thailand because
Mm-hmm.
back in America, being in the cannabis industry,
Mm-hmm.
part of my job title was product testing. So I was using the product daily. I mean, 360 days a year, I was, vaping, doing the oils, doing the edibles, smoking it, testing out products, meeting with
Mm-hmm.
distributors, uh, going to the events with staff and employees, customers, and marijuana is a drug. It's
Mm-hmm.
not as addictive as heroin or crack or any of those big time ones, but I was essentially a daily user of it, and I felt like it was kind of slowing my brain down towards the end. Just like
Uh,
minor mistakes. Like I
yeah.
used to be super sharp. Like I mean, you've never seen me play Jeopardy,
You're
but
still very sharp. Yeah, I can just I mean the way you talk, you're still very sharp.
yeah, and like
Um.
little things like, I mean, you've never seen me play Jeopardy, but like if you were like anybody who's seen me play Jeopardy, they all say the same thing. Brevis, you need to go on Jeopardy. And
Mm,
I actually knew a kid in high school who won 2 episodes of Jeopardy. He won it twice
wow.
and lost the third episode. And I mean, I was quicker than him. Like at quiz, I was better than him. And like
Uh
just
huh.
like I watched Jeopardy, everybody would be like, "Oh, you need to go on it. You need to go on it." And so I'd watch it the last few years, and like I felt like the answers were on the tip of my tongue, but I just couldn't get them out. Like I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
get step of processing it, it wasn't there.
Right.
Just
Right.
like little things would be like, well, what's the only venomous animal? And like normally I would be like, what is a platypus? And like, but now I'd be like, it starts with a P. I just can't remember it. And
Yeah.
I think it was all the marijuana in my brain. It slowed me
Yeah, no,
down.
I understand that, but my thing is about getting old. Yours is different. So, but
Yeah.
let me just ask you. I'm not gonna ask you like how much. Can I just ask you like the highest earning maybe in a month? Just like give me an idea of like that kind of business you're into. How much would you say your highest earning in a month? If you want to share.
Um, 20,000 US. But that was towards the end. The first 7 years were a lot less than that, but the last two
Hmm.
years, my
Hmm.
pay was pretty good. I planned on coming to the Philippines January 2020 and actually turned in my 2 week notice.
Uh-huh.
to the owner, and he begged me to stay on. He goes, please, 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 give me 6 months. Don't give me 2 weeks. Like and then in the next 6 months, we'll increase your salary, we'll increase your stock options, everything. Well, and I said okay. And then January 2020, kind of COVID hits, and the world shuts down. The Philippines shut down. So I was like, well, why do I need to quit? I can't go to the Philippines. The borders are locked down. So I
Mm-hmm.
ended up staying until May of 2022.
Mm.
In those last two and a half years, I did very well financially. Unfortunately, my stock options also decreased quite a bit. The value of the stock just tanked. Um, I had to work a lot more in the last 2.5 years. It became extremely difficult to find employees in California, across the whole United States. Most of our employees,
Really? Oh.
the trimmers, the bud
Why is
tenders,
that? Why, when you say it's hard to find an employee, why is that? I mean, it's good money. Why is it hard to find an employee?
because of the COVID unemployment benefits. So
Oh.
most Americans, if you're making like $15 to $20 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
working $40 a week, like okay, that's decent money. I mean, you're not gonna be buying a new Mercedes and doing all that on that, but you 15-20 bucks an hour if you're a intro bud tender, or you're a trimmer, or a delivery driver,
Mm-hmm.
or security guard. And most of the cannabis jobs, they're in that $15 to $20 an hour range, and managers maybe 25 to 30 an hour. And if you're a highly skilled grower, you can make more. If you're an armed security guard, make a little more. But for the most part, it's 15 to 20 bucks an hour. It's like a lot of jobs.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
way the unemployment money was structured
Yeah.
was, you could essentially make $23 an hour sitting at home not working. So
Right. Right.
I mean, if you think about it, like, what would you rather do? Make $18 an hour working 40 hours a week, or sit at home, watch Netflix, and make $23 an hour?
That's what happened. That's what happened.
I'm not
You
saying
know.
I'm any better than that. Like, if I was making 18 bucks an hour, and Uncle Sam wants to give me $23 an hour to sit at home and watch Netflix, hey,
Yeah.
I know what I would do. I'm not going to say I've got some great work ethic and I want to, build character, and I want to work, and I want to better myself. No, 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 no. I'm sitting at home watching Netflix, making more money.
Yeah.
And tens of millions of Americans did that. And in
Right.
California, it was so easy. You didn't need to show any proof of income. You could just go online and fill this out and say, "Oh yeah, like I fear for my safety. I want to be safe from COVID, and I can't work." And boom,
Uh-huh.
next thing you know, you're getting $700 a month, or seven
Yeah.
hundred dollars
Yep.
a week in
Yep.
mail.
Yeah. California
So
is different than Florida. Florida here is very strict, with that things, So, but anyway, I
yeah,
don't want
so
to get too far though, but I appreciate, because the reason I got interested, because I know a family, very wealthy family here in Florida, super rich family, and then all of a sudden I heard the son decided to go to Denver to be in that business.
So
Uh,
that's
you know,
that's funny you mentioned that. I've got a very similar story. So we call that the green disease.
mm,
So we actually had, one of our competitors was a wealthy family from Miami. He was flipping condos, made a couple $1 million flipping
right,
condos in Miami. And
right,
it's one of those people have this romanticized notion of like, oh, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to move to California and I'm going to grow weed, or I'm going to do this. And like, cool.
hmm,
Thousands of people did that. We another rich family from Virginia came out, bought a bunch of land in Humboldt,
yeah,
bought all this land, and like 2 years later, he's tucks his tail between his legs and he's going back to Virginia, a couple $1 million poorer. And same thing with this guy that came out from Miami, very successful, smart guy, made a lot of money flipping condos in
yeah,
Florida. And he comes out, opens up a big dispensary, builds it out, beautiful, looked like an Apple store inside. And he got milked like you couldn't believe. I mean, everybody was just taking advantage of him, stealing from him. And
wow,
he went back to Florida, a couple $1 million poorer a couple years later. And it kind of, like, around like 2017, 2018, a couple years into legalization, is when we
hmm,
called it dumb money. The people with the green disease, they came out, like some rich family says, oh, well, we've got 40 million in the bank, and our son likes marijuana. Let's give him 2 million. He's going to go start a farm in California, and like that money's gone.
Yeah. Yep.
It definitely increased prices on the wholesale side.
Okay.
Like when COVID hit, everybody who was, we had customer resource management software, inventory tracking software, where we could track how much each individual customer spend, how much per
Wow.
month, what days of the week they buy, what products they like,
Uh-huh.
everything about them, like over 30 pieces of information on every point of sale.
Right.
And
Right.
you had people that were consistently like, maybe spending $200 a month after month after month after month for years. And then all of a sudden COVID hits, these people would quit their jobs, and all
Uh-huh.
of a sudden, like, they'd walk into the store and buy $1,000 worth of weed.
Mm.
So that, and then a lot of them, that works its way up the wholesale side. And then so some of our bigger cultivators who we had long established relationships with, all of a sudden, we're buying big amounts at a set price every month. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, we got to raise our prices because this guy's offering us more. Well, what can we do? So there was a lot of money flowing into the industry, retail, investment side. The customers were having more money, buying more.
Mm-hmm.
It messed things up. And then we were a corporation. I was part of my pay structure was off stocks, stock options increasing, and we had close to 80 employees at our peak right before COVID hit. And
Is your company it's a public traded company?
it was an over-the-counter penny stock company. I don't want to give the
Oh,
name of it.
no, no,
I
no,
don't
no.
want
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's all
to,
right.
but yeah,
That's
we went from probably 80 employees to a month later we had 30 employees, and we had plans to open up a second cultivation site. We had plans. We were going to have a new dispensary in Coachella, right where the music festival is. Perfect corner location, new
mm-hmm.
building, right by the main entrance of Coachella. Probably would have lost money 50 weeks out of the year, but those 2 weeks of Coachella, we would have been printing money,
Wow.
you know, 50,000 a day at least during Coachella festival. But hey, if
Wow.
you're going from 80 employees to 30 employees, how do you staff a second location? How do you open up another cultivation site? And then our distributors were kind of raising prices, and just little things like just the little containers we put the product in. They
Uh-huh.
went from 8 cents to 18 cents in the course of a year. They were at 8 cents for probably 6 years, and they go to 8.5 cents, then they go to 9 cents, then they go to 18 cents. Well, now those containers are illegal at 18 cents. Now it has to be in this 70-cent container because it's compostable plastic. It breaks down quicker, better for the environment. Hey, I'm pro-environment, but you've essentially raised our throwaway costs from 8 cents to 70 cents. And like at the end of the day, that's $2,000 a month. Rate
Mm.
that little $3,000 a month. So just like cost increases, the Bureau of Cannabis Control in Sacramento, the BCC, they got quite good at enforcement. Like in 2016, when it first went legalized, the BCC was essentially 6 people sitting in an office in Sacramento, twiddling their thumbs, not knowing what to do. Well, now it's a 300-person organization with armed guards, and they can tap into your bank account and
Mm-hmm.
garnish things. So like cultivation sites had to be redesigned. You had to get a state certified cannabis architect to sign off on your cultivation site. They really tightened the screws quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
They really, they took the fun out of it. They took the profit out of it quite a bit. And at the end of the day, it's like any other industry. You're looking at 10, 15, 20% profit margins. And all of a sudden, if the state's going to, start taxing that heavily, and it happened on all ends, like even the bud tenders formed a union. So it became really difficult to fire somebody. And,
Mm-hmm.
there was turnover in this industry. So a lot of people would just, they'd work for 2 or 3 months and then quit and move on with their lives. And now they want 6 months unemployment. And all the delivery drivers, you couldn't have them as 1099 independent contractors. They all had to be W-2'd, and Then the Obamacare, the health insurance laws, if you have an organization of more than 49 employees, you have to provide health insurance for them.
Right, right.
So when we had 80 employees, we had a lot of people that were 1099, and so they didn't count towards that 49 person cap. Well, now you've got to put them on W-2. Well, that's $30,000 a month for all those employees, and
Yeah,
it really sucked the profit out of it. And then you had all the competitors getting this investor money of, millions of dollars. People had the green disease, and it cut into margins. And at the end of the day, it was time to get out. I had made my money. The hours were getting to be a little too heavy
right.
and too stressful. And, like all the managers and general managers and even some of the owners, like, we're doing basic frontline level jobs, because what do you do when a dispatcher doesn't show up or a manager quits? Like, the show's got to go on.
Hmm.
And so going from 80 employees to 30 employees essentially doubled my hours and led to stress. And I was ready to come to the Philippines and get on with the second chapter of my life.
Okay, good. So before cannabis, what was your career before that?
I was in the insurance industry direct out of college, did that for about 5.5 years, got laid off,
Hmm.
and then had a bunch of random jobs for about 2 years.
Mm.
Worked for Staples, opening up new Staples stores, office supply, professional sports mascot
Hmm.
briefly for a minor league hockey team in Long Beach, California.
I know the staple owner.
Oh, really?
I know many rich people. I tell you, I'm a professional butler. I work for many, millionaire, billionaires. So I know the staple owner. You should see his house. He has like a 30,000 house. He sold it already, but he has a 30,000 footage house in about six 30,000, 30 to 40,000 square footage, in the US, so, and then he will come, like I spend like probably, he's not the he's one of the owner, all right, so he will probably spend here in Palm Beach for like 6 weekend, not 6 week, 6 weekend. He would just come to spend 6 weekend. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
Oh, amazing, so anyway, let's go back to now. You talk about boss. You talk about Brian Smith, and what about GD Mead? You said you're a fan of GD Mead, so you must
Yeah,
share your meeting
I
with GD Mead.
I like Mr. Mead. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's putting in heavy lifting, taking down Boss Hogg.
Uh-huh.
Um, Mr. Mead and I, we've had our disagreements. So, my name's Breavis, but I would use the screen name Salacio Jimenez to go after Boss Hogg and comment on the GD Mead channel. And I was a
Hmm.
moderator on the channel. Um, and he actually recently removed me as a moderator. I'm not sure why, but either
Hmm.
way. So, I mean, like, I went at, I feel for Mr. Mead. I truly believe he's a good person. He's got a good heart. He's not a racist like a lot of people say. He's an older fella that, might not use the 2023 politically correct language, and that could rub some people the wrong way. But I don't think in his heart he's a racist. There's no way. Um, I've spoke with him, and off camera, on camera, in his chat, and I've never heard him say anything terrible like that. Um, he got scammed by Boss Hogg, and
Hmm.
some of the nicest, most trusting. I wouldn't call it naive, but just like people with good hearts that had a good upbringing, surrounded by good people. They're not prepared to encounter a con man. I mean, usually the people that get money sucked out of them by a con man tend to be really good people and nice people and trusting people, because that's what a con is they earn your trust and take your money. It's not an armed robbery where they come and put a gun to your head and take your money. Like, you're
Uh-huh.
voluntarily giving them their money because you trust them. You wouldn't give money to someone you didn't trust. So Boss Hogg earned his trust. I mean, they were going back and forth on emails for months, and Boss Hogg's talking about, honestly, I forget whether GD Mead gave him money for solar or a generator, or I forget. It's actually doesn't even
It was
matter.
supposed to be for a generator, and then Brian Smith decided to buy a solar because it's cheaper. So he kind of
Yeah.
pocket the rest. So that's what
So
I
for,
understand.
so for months they're talking about a generator, which model to do, where to put it, how much the budget for gasoline is going to be, and
Hmm.
Boss Hogg leading them on. I mean, there's their email track record of all this. And then as soon as GD Mead sends the money, now the next day Boss Hogg's like, well, I'm going to get solar instead. And I think another subscriber sent him money for the solar. So Boss Hogg is doing multiple email chains with different people. One he's milking for a generator, the other one he's milking for solar. And so GD Mead was like, I think GD Mead feels stupid at the end of the day that he got conned by Boss Hogg. So he actually feels used and abused, and like, hey, most people when they get scammed out of money, they just kind of like they don't talk about it. They feel really stupid about it, and they just kind of move on with their lives, and they don't tell anybody about it because it's like, like at the end of the day, like, what kind of person watches Boss Hogg's channel and says, I want to invest with that guy? Like, I don't know. So
I
I
don't know
think
either. Honestly, I don't know either. You know.
well, lonely truck drivers, very low intelligence people, like i.e., Kong King and Stacy Dixon, those types of guys. And so GD Mead actually probably felt terrible. He felt used. He felt like his trust was the bond he had was broken. And
Mhm.
GD Mead's a pit bull, and he went after Boss Hogg for that. Boss Hogg essentially told him to go kick rocks. And for a couple years, uh, Mr. Mead's been, dare I say it, like Don Quixote. He's swinging at windmills at this point. He doesn't. I mean, I don't mean this in a disparaging way about Mr. Mead, but he is a little bit naive on the way that the Philippine justice system works and the way that the Philippines government and bureaucracy
Well,
works.
he was claiming to be an expert. He was claiming to be an expert. I mean, I went there. I listened to his I think his live, and then he was claiming to be, and he was like telling the foreigner, if you don't know anything about the Philippines, you better kind of don't come. So he was claiming to be an expert. Here I am. I'm from the Philippines, and then I'm listening to a foreigner talking about the Philippines. It just like it shocked me, and then I may be away for a long time, but I still, I'm from the Philippines. I still have
Yeah,
many contact in the Philippines. I know the culture, and like you were saying, I don't know. I just feel like I initially I was a supporter of GD Meat, but and then I have to stop it. And for me, sorry to disagree with you. He's a racist. He has said so many things, even against me and American people. I love American people. All right, I'm very grateful to America. So I will not turn my back on America because I'm very grateful. This is just me, And then I don't know. Then about Brian Smith, this is my take. All right, you can disagree with me. It's okay. I don't think I don't consider Brian Smith as a con man. I don't consider that. E-beggar, yes, but you know what? If you think about it, let's kind of define the e-beggar. What is an e-beggar? Is it some if you put a Patreon, is that considered an e-beggar to you?
well, a modern skilled e-beggar
Mhm.
doesn't come out and beg for money. They plant the seeds, and
Yeah,
like the line between e-begging and being a con man, it's a fine line, and they
it's a
blur
fine
together.
line. It's so true. You're right. I mean, but is it criminal? Like let's say oh, I'm
No,
planting.
what you say is not criminal. So no, Boss Hog is definitely
That's what
not a
that's what
criminal.
I'm saying. For me, I'm glad you say that it's not criminal. It's it's a total different, but well, I'm not, right now I'm kind of neutral between Brian Smith and GD Mead, but I have to speak my mind. I have to tell the viewer the truth, the truth about the Philippines, because you could live in the Philippines for many, many years, but you still doesn't know the law and the culture. Even though I'm away for a long time, but I got connection in the Philippines. I do know what's going on. Still have family in the Philippines, so I'm aware. There's a lot of things that foreigner will not understand. And then when I heard Jeff was saying about about the Philippines, and then he would try to lecture people about the law. I was just like, sorry, you don't understand about the Philippines. I mean,
That's right.
you can
He
ask your
doesn't.
wife. Your wife is a Filipina. You can ask your wife if what Jeff was saying was he right. You can ask your wife. That
Yeah, and
was
I mean, I don't want to bring in Jeff's wife, but I assume she kind of she would agree with what you're saying. He kind of comes at it from a Western or American, Australian, New Zealander's perspective of, the government agencies, this bureaucracy, this government worker, they're there to help you and they want to make things happen. Not in the Philippines. And I'm no expert on Philippine culture or law. I mean, I live here, I've spent some time here, but honestly, I feel like the more I'm here, the less I know. And I know for a fact that I couldn't, as a foreigner, walk into some barangay captain's office or some
mhm.
the LTO or the PNP or NBI cyber crimes or this mayor's office and walk in there and tell them to jump, and they're going to say, "Well, how high, sir?" And if they do say how high, sir, they're just BSing me. They're just trying to tell me what I want to hear to get me out of there. So I think him going to all these agencies and expecting immediate action and like they're gonna send a task force and investigate Boss Hogg's building this road and the LTO is gonna set up a checkpoint and impound his little van that he's got. Like, not gonna happen. I
It's not going
mean,
to happen.
yeah, it's not. I mean, and
I'm
I
telling.
kind of told Mr. Mead that. I said, hey, and he tells me that this agency is going to do this, and he talked to this, official, and that he's got assurance from this. And I go, man, even if you went in there with a lawyer and 30,000 pesos, probably nothing would happen.
Let
This
me
is the Philippines.
let me just explain to you, Brevis. Let me just explain to you what when I listen to Jeff. I like I was saying, I was his supporter before, but then up to a point that I just can't support him no more. So let me just kind of explain to you. My problem with Jeff is whatever he was accusing of Brian Smith, he was doing the same thing, right? And
And what?
what do I mean by that, right? He was saying that he was showing about the pig. Now he was uploading old video about the pig to show that how he's a good man. He's doing for charity. Jeff was doing the same. He was doing the same thing that he was showing that he met with village people, and then he was showing that where's the money went, that people donated, that this is where your money, and he was thanking, so basically now he's turning to he's turning to like a charity now. He's campaigning, for people to give him money so he can send it to village people. He doesn't have a license. And so basically what he's charging Brian Smith about, he's doing the same thing, right? And then he would tell people, I don't know how many times I heard him say this, oh, something's going to happen. Remember that he said that he has hired a lawyer. I think he paid like 150,000 peso that he's going to get Brian Smith, right? And so the viewer were, of course, they love to hear that because they want to see justice being done, right? So they were contributing to him. So what do the money go? It didn't go to the village people. It just went silent. So that's what I'm saying. whatever Jeff was saying, accusing Brian Smith, he was doing the same thing. And I remember one time he was even trying to sell a real estate. And before that, like 2 weeks early, he was, again, he was telling the viewer, look at the, Brian Smith is showing a real estate video. He doesn't have a license. And then there is Jeff. He said, I have a property right on the water, and this is such a good deal. And if you want it, you can contact me. I'm an honest man. I'm always telling the truth. So give me a break. That's my problem with the.
Well, it's a little point of clarification. So
Yeah.
regarding Mr. Mead's fundraising for Village People Philippines, I think that's 90% his own money. Yet perhaps a
Well,
few donor subscribers have put in money, but that's 90% Jeff's money. Whereas whatever money that Boss Hogg's raised and the little scams he's pulled, that's subscriber money that he's taking a cut out of.
no, I
So
I am sorry, Brevis, I have to disagree. Not 90%, because when you consider that when somebody gave him a super chat, do you consider that his money?
so I mean, how much super chat has he got? He's I doubt he's pulled in more than $1,000 in the past two
He was
years. In
when at that time when he gave that big amount of money. I think it's like 2,000 Australian dollar. It was most of the money came from the viewer. That's why he was thanking his viewer for all the donation. It was from the viewer. I don't think I don't think any money coming from his own pocket on that big amount. I can be wrong, but I would say maybe 90% was from the viewer. You can ask him
I,
that.
I'm actually not familiar with what exact project you're
Yeah.
speaking of. So I'll give you that. Right. So even if the viewers did fund a few donations to VPP,
Mhm.
throughout the total period, I think it's majority his money. And either way, like he's if imagine Boss Hogg raising money for a charity, what percent of that money do you think would actually go to the charity? So if GD Mead raised $2,000 to give to a charity, I mean, are you implying that GD Mead kept 1,500 for himself and only gave 500 to the charity? I would say almost every penny he raised through
No,
super
no,
super.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I don't think he kept any money for himself. But what I'm saying that the money that he gave out to village people, let's just put it 2,000 Australian dollar. I think most of the money was from the viewer, not from his pocket. So
You think, but that money did go to VPP. You would
yeah,
agree
it
to
did.
that, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
So what I'm saying is, if Boss Hogg raised $2,000, how much
Mhm.
of that would have been given to the charity? Maybe $200. Boss Hogg would have kept it all and bought cigarettes and.
To be honest, he never, not that I know of, that he campaigned to give it to the charity, except for the pig. That's all we have seen on the video. And then most of the thing is he was just like you were saying, planting seed. Like hey, you know what, I I need something. The car breakdown. It need a new motor or whatever. And then just people just donating. And then
Yeah.
as I have said it, that he was like hyping a lot of things, about this, could be the shrimp pond, or the milkfish, so that hopefully somebody will want to go into venture with him, in the business. That's the thing. But we have a couple of channel at that time, was trying to tell the viewer, and there's still some people still want to do that. That's their thing. That's why I decided I want out. I don't want to get involved anymore with this thing, because it doesn't help me. I mean, it doesn't help me. I was just doing this as a favor, and then I am much happy just doing a reaction video. I mean, this you have your channel too, so you probably I don't know if you're monetized or not yet. You probably just new, but you will find out you don't make money. you know I try to. People say, "Oh, you're just doing it. You're just doing it for for view. You're doing for to make money. Are you serious?" I, you know, I could probably I could make 100 a month, and then not every month. Some month I don't even make anything. I don't need this income from YouTube. I was just doing it, to warn the viewer.
Yeah, it's not about the money. We don't, whether you make 100 or 300 a month is essentially it's inconsequential. I mean, it's
Yeah,
really not good.
it just come to a point that for me it's not worth it. Are you in Cebu right now, Brevis? Are you in Cebu?
Cebu City, yeah.
Oh, okay. So you have a
Um,
nice apartment.
oh, thanks. Yeah, it's just a little one bedroom condo. It's got everything. It's got Wi-Fi.
How much are you paying for rent over there?
It's 38,000.
38,000 is like
But that
uh
includes electricity, and I've got two aircon units. I've got full size refrigerator. It's a new building, so it's
wow.
pretty cool. I mean, it's got a gym. It's got free parking. Staff's really nice. Security's good.
Mm,
Pool, it's good. But back to Boss Hogg. So I mean, I got banned from Boss Hogg's channel. Big surprise. Um, but when I started watching him, I realized very early on, like, this guy's not a farmer. He's not farming for profit. Like, he's putting content out there. Think of the
mhm.
Bahavel as a Hollywood movie set designed to e-beg. So if he had his walls painted, if he had a proper roof, if he was running a profitable farm and everything was clean and everything was good, would people donate money? But they kind of see him. It's almost like poverty porn, where they see him struggling and they want to help
Yep.
him out. And
Yeah, I think
people,
so. Yeah.
so
No.
his house will never get painted. Everything's going to always be dilapidated. I
Yep.
guess he had essentially a unfinished concrete floor, no tile or anything. Just recently put a piece of laminate on there. But I got banned from Boss Hogg's channel a couple years back, because I told him, I said, hey man, like, you were getting the most donations when you were doing these huge milk fish farms and you were trying to have 30 sows in your piggery. That's when you were getting the most donations and e-begging and super chat.
Hmm.
And it's not about a profit with him. So I told him, I said, hey man, like, you know nothing about raising pigs. You know nothing about milkfish ponds and tilapia, or milkfish pens and tilapia ponds and raising chickens. Like, the guy's a fool. He doesn't do his research. He's not doing a pH analysis of his soil before he,
So
plants.
what do you think is the problem? What do you think is the problem with all the business failure?
I think it's
Uh,
designed to fail because he's selling himself this romantic concept of being a foreigner, moving to the Philippines and having a farm. I mean, like, you're from the Philippines here in America, but like, there's a lot of Americans, Canadians, Australians that they're working in jobs they don't like, i.e., truck drivers, or just you got a job you don't love, you're not making a lot of money,
mhm.
and you you just think, hey, oh, I'm chatting to this Filipina, and I'm gonna move to the province, and I'm gonna raise pigs and be a farmer, and I'm gonna have my young Filipina there. And so I think if people watch his channel and they see him fail, and they think, well, hey, this guy's doing it, and he's stupid. I could do it because I'm smart. So it's like, it was kind of, it's like the green disease that people would have, be like, oh, well, I made millions flipping condos in Miami. How hard could it be to move to California and grow marijuana? So everybody thinks it's so easy they can come out. So Boss Hogg, like, by failing, he actually gets people to think higher of themselves, being like, well, this guy's living the dream with his Filipina in the Philippines as a farmer, and I'm smarter than this idiot, so I could go out there and do it. So he plants the seeds, and like, this is what I got banned from his channel for, was I told him, I said, hey man, whatever your next project, like, don't raise chickens, don't plant tomatoes, go big. Like, you're going to fail at anything you do, no matter what, just because you're fat, lazy, stupid, arrogant. So you're guaranteed to fail. And the bigger you fail, the more money you get from e-begging and scamming, which is what is essentially funding his lifestyle and profit. So I told him, I said, hey man, like, raise crocodiles and do like alligator skin wallets, and like, and then you could involve the viewers, or the viewers could help design the wallet of, the crocodile skin. Or you could raise ostriches, and then you could sell pillows with ostrich feathers in it, and then you can have someone like help get you accounts at certain stores to sell your ostrich feather
Uh-huh.
pillows. Whatever he does, he's gonna fail at. I told him, like, dude, don't do milkfish pens. Go raise lobster. Do lobster pens. Like, you're gonna fail. You're not gonna be profitable. So whatever he does is gonna be a failure. But the bigger he fails, the more donations he gets, the more content it is, the better it is for his channel. So I said, dude, raise alligators, raise ostriches, farm lobsters. Like, you're not going to be profitable at it. And the more you fail, the more money you get. Like, think
So
how many Jasons there could be out there if he was doing lobster pens in the ocean. And then, he would say, well, I don't know what's going on. These lobsters are dying. Dude, his subscribers would be reading books, doing research, watching videos about lobsters, so they could put a comment in the chat and act like they're the expert. And then Boss Hogg would butter them up and be like, well, Tilapia Dave, you sure are really smart about lobsters. I wish I had, some of your knowledge, and I just don't know what I'm doing. And then next thing you know, Tilapia Dave's like sending him money for lobster feed and like some lobster breeding equipment. Like, so it's not about actually, producing a product, selling it for a profit. This is about e-begging on the Bahavel as a Hollywood set and making
uh-huh.
money from donators and subscribers through e-begging, super chat. I mean, YouTube's the most successful thing in his life. This is a man who's failed at
True.
literally
Yeah.
everything. And
True.
he was an
I
ice cream salesman in California, working, after school, or going to the Little League games on Sunday, maybe making $40, $50 a day. He was sleeping on his friend's couch in a trailer park. He didn't have permits. He didn't have licenses. He wasn't paying taxes.
how
Uh,
how
he
do you
wasn't
know that? Do you know that by firsthand, or you just heard it from somebody else saying that, or did he share it with his viewer?
Well, what in all of Boss Hogg's content has he ever portrayed himself as a permit attaining, license attaining, tax paying businessman? I mean, he left Chico, California. He owed, with a bankruptcy and all these back taxes, and he was selling ice cream without a permit. That's a public record. There's court records that he
Yeah.
didn't have a license to go drive around, like a reseller's permit or whatever it is. And uh, I don't know for a fact, but I would bet anything he was on food stamps and government assistance while he was in California, because he technically had no income. I mean, he wasn't filing taxes every April. Come on now. Like, he didn't get a tax return. Like, this guy probably went to Costco or went to the supermarket, bought a 12-pack of Choco Tacos or Oreo cookie fudgesicles, and for 30 cents each, and then drove around selling them for $1 for a couple hours, every afternoon, and on Sundays maybe put in a 6-hour day, probably working 20 hours a week, probably making $300 a week, not paying any taxes, sleeping on his friend's couch at a trailer park. His whole family's on welfare. His daughters they admit to being on food stamps. Like, you think that it's just them and it's not Boss Hogg? Like, it's California. It's the cream of the crop of the welfare state. Like, it's super easy to get $180 a month for your food stamps, and you get $250 a month general assistance because you're not
Mhm.
working. So I would guarantee he was on government assistance while he was in California, and then he was making his $1,000 a month as an ice cream salesman, uh, and not paying taxes on that, didn't have permits. And then finally, after the fourth or fifth time, he got a violation for driving around in that aerodynamic truck of his selling ice cream, that they finally gave him a cease and desist order, or maybe impounded one of his trucks, and all the ice cream melted. And he just said, you know what, like, I mean, maybe he had some credit cards and had some credit card debt, and he
Okay.
just said, "Screw it, I'm going to the
Yeah, I
Philippines."
get what you're saying. You're just telling your point. What you
I don't
think,
approve
but
of it.
for me, if you have followed my channel, I never like I don't when I say something, I usually I have to have a fact. Otherwise, I don't say it myself. But it's okay. We were just chatting here. We were just talking. You giving what your opinion. That's all right. For so I think we kind of agree in one thing that it's not a criminal thing. What he's doing. And then like I said, I when I approached Raymond, because Raymond was saying that if you really want, like if you're sincere, you should apologize to boss to Brian Smith. And I said, that's why I reached out to Raymond. I said I want to have a chat with you because I'm not going to apologize to Brian Smith. I did not do anything wrong. In my opinion, I just try to warn the viewer and the donor, but and I keep my word that I'm not gonna make talk about Brian Smith. When I said talk about Brian Smith, like making a video like I used to do, so I already passed that, and I don't wanna go back. I don't want to go back, but I want to like my viewer to understand, that understand probably to help, because when I try to get out, I was trying to like try to make a piece. The last time, maybe for the last time, maybe make a piece between Jeff and Brian Smith. And then I also come to the conclusion, I don't think that they both want it. They want to continue because it helped their agenda. I don't know. It helped Brian, and also it helped Jeff, whatever their agenda. And I don't think it will come to that. But to the viewer of Jeff, nothing's going to happen. This I'm going to tell you, just my humble opinion. Nothing's going to happen. You could be waiting. Even Jeff said Thursday you're going to have something going to happen. Nothing going to happen, because everything you can ask your girlfriend, your Filipina. Everything in the Philippines is negotiable. I keep saying this to the viewer. Everything in the Philippines is negotiable. So if something, I don't know, like I heard that some of the viewers saying, "Oh, he doesn't have a license for with his car, with his van." I don't know if you watched the video of in Manila, how many vehicles they stop without a license, without insurance. All they have to do is pay the fine. Later, when they got caught, they pay the fine. Everything is negotiable in the Philippines. So that's what I'm trying to let the viewer understand. This is the hard truth. This is the hard truth. Nothing's going to happen. And I wish.
Most of the guys that are watching these channels are not in the Philippines. And even if they were, that doesn't make them experts. I'm in the Philippines. I'm not an expert. You're absolutely right. Everything's negotiable. And GD Mead, like, yes, he could be a little abrasive with his attitude and rub people the wrong way, and he's not going to work well with others. And him walking into some of these government agencies with kind of like a, jump, do this right now kind of attitude, that's just going to push these Filipino workers even further away. And, he walks out of that office, they're probably back to playing with their phone. They're not going to go start
You know
paperwork.
what was the biggest mistake? That he didn't keep his mouth shut. He should, when you are doing something like that, you should keep quiet. Keep your mouth shut. You don't tell your viewer this is what happened. You probably seen the video I did with Randy, right? With Randy, have you seen that video?
Yeah,
When I
yeah, he could have kept his mouth shut. He would have still been living in the Philippines if
when
he
when
didn't go.
I when I warned him, I said, just kind of enjoy your few days because we're gonna get you. And I keep my mouth shut. And a lot of viewers were asking me, "Can I get an update?" I said, "No, you guys have to wait. You wait. I know something's gonna happen, but you wait." And when that happened, I was first to report it 2 weeks before it went to the press. I got the inside information before it went out to the press. And you can look at the video and watch it. All the truth are there. So that's for my opinion, that's a mistake. He should be shut up. If he has,
Well, you did it the right way. You had a connection at Malacanang.
yeah,
You simply made a call and you let them do the investigation. Like had you ran into the immigration office or DSWD and like stomped your feet and say, "Hey, you got to do this. Look at this guy." They would have just shined you on, said, yes, sir, we'll investigate. Oh, yes, sir. And then you would have
exactly.
walked out and nothing would have happened. But
No.
you did it the Filipino way. You made a call to a high up person.
Yep.
That person made a call to a
Yep.
high up person at immigration. That high up person at immigration contacted local enforcement and said, "Hey, do this." And it happened.
And you
But
do
then
it.
again,
That's the
he
Filipino way. We do it quietly. We do it quietly and big bang, boom. Like we get you. I
Yeah,
mean,
and he at the end of the day, what he was a 12-year overstayer. I mean, like, so it's not hard to get him. Like, I
no.
mean, he was openly bragging about how he doesn't pay visa fees, and
Yeah, it
uh,
was.
so that
It
was
was so.
honestly, Jimbo, that was a little bit of low hanging fruit. I mean, you did take him down, but like, it wasn't that difficult. Like, I mean,
It's
he
not
hung
diff.
himself.
No, 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 no. It, it, I have to do a lot of background work with that things, but it was much easier. I would not say it's not. It's hard, but it was much easier because he's already overstayed for like 20 years. But still,
Yeah.
you'll find out it's even with a connection, it's not that easy. You need to
But
be
just,
on top.
to back up a second, you said that you were seeking peace between Mr. Mead and Boss Hogg.
Yeah.
There'll be no peace. Like
No.
some of Boss Hogg's donators and subscribers, you can say what you want about them. I'll call them very stubborn, not too educated or intelligent people. And people like that are stubborn and stupid. You present them with facts, you back them into a corner, they're just going to double down. And so there's guys that, there was a dude that for
Yeah.
every video GD Mead put out, he would donate $1 to Boss Hogg. So it's like, oh, GD Mead put out 5 videos. Here's $5, Mr. Hogg. Here you go. And GD Mead subscribers, like, hey, I mean, I'm a GD Mead subscriber. I'm a fan. There's nothing that Boss Hogg could do to change my mind to make me think he's not a
Yeah.
scam.
It's the
He's a
same
con man
thing.
to the core. And like,
Yeah. That's why.
if you're donating to Boss Hogg and you're investing in a project with him and super chatting him, I don't know what to tell someone like that other than like you're an effing idiot. That's about all I could tell to him. And when you tell someone that, they're not going to say, "Oh, well, I guess I am stupid. Let me change my ways." Like, you think you're going to get Stacey Dixon to admit he was wrong about anything? Like, that guy's just going to double down and donate more money. Like, you criticize those people, they're just going to donate more money to the Hog.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
you've
it's
got
the
two
same,
sides of the.
like you were saying that, GD meets supporter, will not give up. And the same thing with Brian Smith, so this is like a never ending. And I'm just here now. I just want to, do my reaction video. When you kind of, approach me with this, I say, I'm interested because you did came to my channel before, and you did say that you're gonna share with me with something about Maricel before, and then I don't know what happened, and you said because you're gonna go to like a festival or celebration or something like that, and say, I'll get back to you in a few days or in a week or next week, something like that, and then I never heard from you again. I do remember you. I don't have a very good memory, but sometimes those little things I do remember. So
Well, you actually banned me from your channel a while back
did I
because
ban
like
you?
Yeah, during you interviewed a Brit in the Philippines, Chris Wren, and I call
Uh-huh.
him Beggar Wren, and I'll forever call him Beggar Wren. And I kept calling him Beggar Wren in the chat, and you got upset and you said, "Oh, don't call him Beggar Wren. You're insulting my guest." And I go, "Well, his name's Beggar Wren. I'm going to call him Beggar Wren," and I got blocked.
Yeah.
But either way, hey, man, we're here today. Like, I mean, that's water under the bridge. I still think a Brit in the Philippines is an e-beggar. I'll still call him Beggar Wren. Obviously, you're a little more respectful to your guests, but yeah, Chris
Yeah,
Wren is Beggar.
for me, when I try to, because I try to interview people, all side, and then when I have a guest, I want people to be respectful, and if you can, that's why I kind of don't want to get into this situation again. There's just so many things that I have seen that I want to, like want to kind of. Do a reaction video on, but then I will keep remind myself, I don't want it, I don't want to get into this again, because it's not helping my channel. It's not helping my channel. All I'm attracting, is the it's a troll, it's just a troll that I'm attracting. So I don't want that. I just want to be be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're cleaning up your channel, moving away from Boss Hog. I rarely watch his videos anymore.
But also, something to consider is some, because I know a lot of people who's like that, like a caretaker, and they got, they will, after a long time, they will, get like inherit, from this employer, and I know many people do get that. So
Oh yeah, yeah,
it
it's
could be,
possible.
that's a
Yeah,
possibility.
my
There's.
ex-girlfriend in California was a Filipina, and her auntie was a caregiver back in the late '80s, early '90s,
Mhm,
and she, you know, basic, maybe getting $100 a day or minimum wage back then, or like a full-time live-in caregiver,
mhm,
and she got hooked up with this old mean Armenian lady, and she was this old lady's caregiver, and her family hated her. Like the 3 or 4 caregivers before her only lasted like a couple months, and
yeah.
then my ex's auntie moves in there as her caregiver, and boom, they're best friends. And 3 or 4 years later, the old lady died, and who do you think she left the house to?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she got
Yeah.
this house, really nice house, sold it, and bought land out in the Philippines. And, so it does happen. It's actually
That's
fairly.
what happened to my friend. One of my friend in Miami. He was like a houseman to a gentleman, and when the man died, he gave him the condo. It's a beautiful condo, and then also a big sum of money. So he retired. He doesn't have to work, and he has a very nice nice apartment in Miami. And I mean, this story go on, and then you know many of my friends also have inherited when somebody died. There's one coworker that he worked for somebody, and she got twice, she got money from people who pass away. The first one, she got like a 200,000 plus 1 year pay. And then the second one, she was complaining. I was like, "Are you serious? You complaining?" She got 60,000 plus 6 month pay. She was complaining why the second one she only got so little.
Yeah.
But
So it definitely happens. It's happened to tens of thousands of caregivers, and
yeah,
Filipinos are some of the most, honestly, I'd say the best caregivers in the world. And if you're some old person and your family doesn't come and visit, and you don't really have any friends because they're all dead, and you've got this, nice
hmm
caregiver taking care of you, whether they're Filipino or Mexican or American, doesn't matter.
hmm
It's real common that old dying people leave their caregivers money. So it's a
right.
possibility. I'm just putting it out there that, after that happened is when she uh, got the house. So, I mean, I know that you stay factual here on your channel, so I'm just putting that out there. But that is what happened.
Okay. And anything else you want to share? Maybe you want to talk about? You want to touch anything? Or maybe one day I'll do a live. I invite you and other. Do you mind with chatting with other people? Maybe you probably I would say GD Meet supporter, and maybe we can invite somebody who is a Brian Smith supporter, and we can do a live together. Are you up for that, or you don't want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be respectful. I'd love to hear what some of these guys that donate to Brian Smith, Boss Hogg, are thinking.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I
still
I'd like to get inside their head because I honestly like. I think someone who donates
yeah
money to Boss Hogg's either okay. I'll leave the adjectives out of it, but I just like to hear what they have to say because
yeah
I don't.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I just want to learn. I always love to learn about people. Like you. I want to learn from you. Even you're much younger. Like I'm fascinated that you can retire. At a very young age and then live on your saving. That's very impressive to me. Because
Well, I mean, I couldn't be, living in LA back in California on $3,000 a month. I mean, I was paying
yeah,
2,700 a month for rent
but
back home.
you can have a good life in the Philippines, right? I mean, so good for
Yeah,
you.
I mean, I travel, I eat out, I want for nothing. Whenever I go out to the bars, I VIP table every
Yeah.
week. Um, um,
See the
Buying
thing.
motorcycles and just yeah, you can the thing. $3,000 a month in the Philippines, like unless you're living in BGC and you're drinking fine wine and you're going to Amanpulo for vacation, like
Uh-huh.
$3,000 a month probably would put me what top 2% of Filipinos, top 1%. Whereas $3,000 a month in California, like you're far below average. So I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it is a little scary thinking like what if something terrible happens and like I don't even
That's
have insurance. The only insurance I have is a repatriation flight home, which is like I think it's like $80 a year. I have to pay this British company, and they'll put me on a medical flight back home if something happens, and I'll go home. And I mean, but barring surgeries and funerals, I'm pretty much here for the next 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years. I'm
mhm.
not here forever. This isn't a forever thing. Um,
I know a lot of foreigner, probably think that Filipino are poor. It's a third world country, but I'm gonna tell you though, there's a lot of rich Filipino too. There's a lot of wealthy Filipino that you just probably doesn't heard about them because they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that, and then
Yeah, there's
and
Filipinos that make way more money, have way more money than me. Um, but even then, like, say some Filipinos making $1 million a year, owns a business here, lives here, travels, has a house in, America or Australia or
uh,
wherever.
yeah.
Um, but they've got, huge families and they're, giving $1,000 a month to this cousin and 500 a month to this brother. So even if you're making tons and tons of money, those people are supporting tons of people too. Where
Yeah,
me
big
on
big
3,000
family.
a month, me and my girlfriend, we kick her family down, a little amount that helps them out. So, um, we're gonna have bringing a young daughter into the world in a couple months. So, we'll be supporting another person.
Is
But
that going to be? Is that your first baby?
yeah, yes,
Oh,
yes, it is.
congratulations!
Thank you. So
No,
yeah, I'm excited. Gonna be doing the
I
daddy
just
life.
yeah, I just want to tell foreigners, if you think Filipino are poor, when you go, especially you're in Cebu, just look at how many cars in the Philippines. I mean, you have all this traffic in the Philippines, and you can see that Filipino are not all poor. There's a lot of wealthy Filipino, and they just don't want to show it. I know a lot of Filipino very wealthy, but they dress up very simple. I mean, some of these are my former customer. They are in a wet market. You go to the wet market. Actually, sometimes they was selling pig. You think they're poor? Wait until you went to their house. They live in a big house, almost like a mansion. You probably be, like, you won't believe what I just said to you, but it just, it's hard to judge people in the Philippines. That, sometimes when I see a person, a Filipina in the Philippines, I almost can tell if they have money, because I'm, I'm from the Philippines. I can tell, but for somebody who's not familiar, in the Philippines, they it's hard to tell.
Yeah,
They,
the top 2 to 3% here in the Philippines live extremely well, and their comparative wealth to the lower 50%
yeah,
is a great discrepancy. So, it's like if you're in the top 2% here in the Philippines versus, the top 2% in America, you've got probably a better comparative lifestyle here. I mean, I mean, to have to have a maid, a domestic helper, someone to do your laundry. Like, I knew a couple people in America that had that, and they were multi-millionaires to have it, to be at that level. And there's,
mhm.
you can do that in the Philippines on a much lower scale. So yeah,
Right.
there's certain very wealthy landowners, business owners here. Yeah, there's 100 million people here, so there's definitely a few million rich people.
But what's your take on have you heard of consing? What's your take on consing?
So once again, I know you're a factual channel, so I'm just giving my opinion on this. I don't really know, and truthfully, like, I don't really watch that much of Boss Hogg's channel. I watch more of uh, exposing expat scammers, and a couple of the anti-Boss Hogg channels.
Uh-huh.
Um, Honestly, don't watch all of GD Mead's content either. There's only so many hours in a day. You can't
Yeah,
you
there's
can't
only so many. I'm just like you, that's why I stopped doing Brian Smith video, because I was not being fair to my viewer. I would be watching, and then I would be scrolling so fast, and I miss out so many things, and then my viewer would say, hey, Brian said this and that, and I said, where, can you give me a timestamp? Because I don't want to watch the whole thing. I said, give me a timestamp, so I can rewatch it. So
well,
yeah.
so about Consing, like, do we know she owns that land outright? Does she have a title to that land, or does she have a sister or brother or cousin or
uh,
uncle who's claiming that they own a part of that land? These are questions we don't know. I don't think we're ever going to have a straight answer. Where you can't depend on Boss Hogg to tell you the truth. He's going to obfuscate everything. So my, I, Mike and May buying that land, whew, building that road on it unpermitted. Wow, like, um, once again, a lonely truck driver in America, married to a Filipina, probably thinks he's an expert on everything. Even being married to a Filipina doesn't mean, like, she's, this is between lawyers. Like, at this level, like, when you're buying land, you want to have that notarized. You want to have the surveyors come out. You don't just want to take Boss Hogg's word for it and say, oh yeah, it's all good. Consing's the owner. Start making payments. No lawyers involved. Like, just some, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to call Consing a scammer. What she did to Elnora was terrible.
mhm.
And kind of jumped the fence back and forth. I lost a lot of respect for her on that. Um, but it's like land ownership in the Philippines is kind of the wild west. Like, a quick
Yeah.
brief history, like pre-Magellan, like, who owned the land in the Philippines? Like, who owned, maybe Central Manila might have, like, had some, like, sort of administrative, like, survey done on it, but and then from 1521 to 1900, who owned land in the Philippines? Well, essentially the King of Spain owned all the land, and he, to get his troops to go serve in the Philippines, he said, hey, work, serve 10 years in the King's army, we'll give you land. And then they marry with a Filipina, and then the priests and the uh, pastors, they owned land, and then they would give it out to the rich families. And then 1900, the Americans come, and then land ownership comes around, and then the Japanese come, then the Americans come, and then essentially like pre 1968, there was no surveys done in like the in Bohol, like who owned the land in the mountains in the countryside. It was just kind of like if you can get the barangay captain to agree your grandma lived there, whether she registered it, paid taxes on it, had a title, it was just she kind of owned it. So who owns all these lands like in the mountains of Samar and Leyte and Bohol and Negros? Well, it's just like old women own the land and they don't have the title. It's not registered. It's not tax declared. It's just kind of like if you can get the barangay captain to agree that your grandma lived on that land, well, for all intents and purposes, your grandma owns that land. And how do you get the barangay captain to sign off on that? Well, that's how you get it right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
So
money, and then it's very tricky. It's that's why it's not advisable for foreigner to buy land. You have to be very careful. You have to have a lawyer. You have to have a survey. But I almost forgot what I was trying to tell you is I have keep advising foreigner not to invest in the Philippines, especially like in farm or piggery or in milkfish. It's very especially when you are old. When you are on your retirement. Because if you fail, it's hard to recover. And at the same time, do you know what's the main reason the foreigner fell in the Philippines? Do you know? I did ask you, but I forgot to follow it up. Do you know the reason? I think you said that because they did not do their homework, they do not, do their, due diligence, to invest time before they invest. But the main problem was customer. That's the main problem was the customer. I don't care what business you're in, but if you don't have a customer base, you are set up for failure. I when I try to talk to Mike and May, it's not about Brian Smith. I don't care about that part because he's he, you know he, I mean, I respect him, to do his own judgment. But what I'm trying to warn him is about, get in into big business, like especially in fish farming. What happened? I just find out when I was trying to reach out to Mike and May. I found out from a very good friend of mine, and he was working for a very big, uh, like a fishery company, and this company is so big that not only cater to the Filipino, but they export to the U.S., to Canada. Because I seen him with world leader. He was with the world leader. He was with the ambassador of the U.S. to the prime minister of Canada, and I was like, hey, dude, what you doing? Why are you with these people? So he finally tell me, the company, and I research it, and I was like, wow, I have no clue that I have a friend, into like those what do you call the cage, thing, like almost like the milkfish. And I, try to, and then what I said to my friend, I said, you know what? Can I ask you what's is the like biggest concern on your business? And you know what he told me?
hmm.
Customer. Customer is the biggest concern. You got to have a customer. You got to have a good customer. If you don't have a good customer and it's not easy to get, you're set up for failure. So that's what he,
Well, let's be clear. Mike and May are not going to be making a profit and running a business at this
no.
farm. It's kind of a hobby.
Yeah,
He's what, mid 60s, late 60s. He's still
yeah,
having to work to get money. He couldn't buy the land outright. He's having to make payments on it. He's having health problems back in America. His partners, one of them bailed on him. The old man bailed.
yeah.
The big fat guy, he's that guy's not a farmer in the Philippines. His legs infected. He can't handle the heat.
Yeah,
That guy's
I'm just worried for them. I just worry for them. That's why I try to reach out to them. I said, just do a hobby farming. That's it. Don't do.
yeah. I think deep down he's got to know, or at least his wife's got to know, like, hey, you're going there with your $2,000 a month pension, like you're not going to supplement that with farming, like so he probably won't. I'd say 50-50 whether he even gets to the Philippines. Like, I mean, the guy, he's still working in America. He could have some health issues. They might just pull the plug and be like, you know what, the $12,000 that we've already invested in this farm, it's a lost cause, and they pull the plug and
No, no, it's okay. I mean, owning the land, it's okay. They can still live there, build a house, and
do they
retire.
own
But
the land? Do they own the land? Do we know that? Like, it's one of those things where it's up in the air. I mean, we're never going to get a straight answer from Boss Hogg. They haven't involved lawyers or surveyors. It's kind of just like Consing says she owns this land that her grandma owned, and like, I mean,
yeah,
who really knows? And
yeah,
so
you,
my health problems. He's in his mid to late 60s. Like, he's not extremely wealthy. They'll be out there on their, $2,000 a month pension, and like, who knows? Maybe he goes out there next year. He lasts a year or two, and then has a health issue and has to go back to America. So this
but
isn't about like running a business for profit and like farming and getting customers and selling to different islands and just getting relationships with distributors. Like, that's not how this is going to go. This is just
no.
content for YouTube and to talk about, but it's not a real business. This isn't a real.
Probably, yeah, probably, probably that's gonna be the case. That's why they also have a YouTube channel. I mean, nothing is wrong with that. Having a YouTube channel, it's a good for backup. That's why I have this channel. So when I retire, this is what I want to do. And then if I can make 100, 200, hey, you know what? It all add up. So anyway, Brevis, I appreciate your, for reaching out. I appreciate talking to you, and then hopefully we can do it again. Maybe we can do it live. I want to invite other people. So we can exchange both sides. In a we don't have to fight. We can agree and disagree. I mean, it's all good. So
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Jimbo. I know,
yeah,
there's, we've had a very pleasant conversation. Not everything we've agreed on, but we've stayed
yeah.
respectful and the items.
Yeah,
I,
that's supposed to be, that's supposed to be. I have invited Zabir. Zabir is not, I don't agree with everything he said, but we always been very respectful each other. I invited also Stacy. It's the same thing. We don't have to agree on everything, but we don't have to scream and shout. That's what I'm trying to say.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
that's kind of the market to go to. Like, I mean, Stacy's been here once. Severe's never been to the Philippines.
No.
You're Filipino, not living in the Philippines. I'm American, living in the Philippines. So all types of people,
Mhm.
let's get them on the channel, have a panel discussion, stay respectful. No
Yeah.
one dominates the conversation, interrupting each other. And yeah, I'm all for it. Just
Good.
leave me a
That's
comment
good.
time, and I'll come on. I
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Say hello
Take
to
care.
your what's your wife name? I'm sorry. What's your wife name? Your girlfriend.
Hazel.
Hello, kumusta? Congratulations, ingat sa baby. Coming soon. All
Yeah,
right,
she's just
guys.
relaxing right now. Okay, Jimbo, thanks for
Take
having me
care.
on.
Thank you. Bye bye.